It is essential, when approaching a news story, especially in today's society, to know your information is from a reliable source. There has been many claims of fake news from prominent news sources, especially in recent news surrounding President Trump. Trump arrived in London and initiated a massive anti-Trump protest in Trafalgar Square to Parliament. Trump claimed he was greeted with resounding love and support upon arrival, but protests that were organized against him told a different story. Trump faces thunderous displeasure in his own country and foreign countries as well. It is said that over 75,000 people came to the anti-Trump protest, which included baby Trump balloon and mechanical Trump on a toilet. Trump visited London for 3 days and was greeted for meetings with the Queen, Prince Charles, and later Theresa May. Meanwhile, the streets of London crowded with anti-Trump protesters. These news articles are about Trump's visit to London in the past week. Although he only stayed for a couple days, the local Londoners and others in the city decided to make the most out of it. One of the biggest anti-Trump protests was this Tuesday at Trafalgar Square at 11 a.m. Batchelor from Independent News said over 75,000 people were there, I among them, to march through the square along Embankment to Parliament. Oftentimes in news stories, they embellish the truth to capture the audience's attention. By observing the protest firsthand, it gives you an unfiltered lens to view the story. These new articles go in depth of the particulars of the rallies and describe it how I saw it during the protests throughout the city. There is an obvious bias of political opinion in the news articles, but as they cater to specific new views, that bias is expected for most public news. Some of these articles describe how Trump claimed that he had many supporters in London over Twitter, which was untrue save for a small handful in Whitehall, said the New York Times in 2019. The articles demonstrate the lengths the people in London took to prove the disdain for Trump and is documented for vast numbers that came to protest him. Reading many articles gives you a clear perspective of the event of each individual article can be contrasting viewpoints of one another dramatically. The article from Big Spectator has very strong bias present in the article. Clear sarcasm displayed when describing Trump's actions and general presence in London. The article from the New York Times had a neutral approach to the article and did not represent a clear bias in either direction. It is crucial to gather information from reliable sources to ensure you are getting a clear and accurate representation of the story. The story of Trump's visit to London was conversely represented by different sources, including from Trump himself, such as the tweets from New York Times article in 2019. Although Trump claims he had many supporters in the UK, the protests during his visit to London disproved that. Protests against President Trump were united in London during his visit. While these protests told a story, it is important to know the facts and find your own opinion. What do you think?